All right, here we go. My name is Jeff K, and you're listening to episode 408 of the world-famous West Virginia Surf Report podcast. A few days ago, I was in Dominos. I woke up with an insatiable, just a bottomless pit of hunger. Felt like I hadn't eaten in about 3, 4, 5 days. I was starving. I said, I'm going to go. I told everybody, I made an announcement. I gathered the family around. I made an announcement. I said, I'm going to order a couple pizzas, big-ass pizzas from Domino's, and we could have them for lunch, and then there's going to be plenty left over, and we can just continue eating on it throughout the day. You know, it'll just be there for us if we feel a hunger pang. That's right. If you feel a pang, then you can just go grab a slice. It's a wonderful thing. I love having like a leftover pizza in the fridge. You just go in there, just like snag a slice out of there, and it's cold. Something I like hot pizza, obviously, but I don't mind cold pizza either. It's good, man. It's got that vertical hold. You like hold it up, and the slice just sticks straight out. You know, it's good stuff. So anyway, I ordered in the coupon section of the Domino's website and their app. There's all kinds of good deals in there. I mean, I don't know what you'd be a fool just to call them up and say, you know what, 2 large pizzas, okay, that'll be $40. That's probably what it'll be. But if you play your cards right and you go to the coupon section, there's all kinds of good stuff in there. I ordered 2. They have this New York style pizza. It's new. It's thinner. It's a thinner crust than the normal hand tossed or whatever they call it. And so I ordered. They have a coupon for a large New York style 3-topping, right? So I ordered 2 of those, right? And you know, if you're from New York or if you spend a lot of time in New York, you probably sneer at this idea. It's New York style. It doesn't. I don't think they're making the claim it's as good as what you'd get in Manhattan. I mean, Domino's gets a lot of shit. People talk shit about Domino's, but it's pretty darn good. It's better than you would think, you know. So anyway, I ordered those 2 pizzas. I went over there and picked it up. You have to pick it up, right? For this price, you can't have it delivered, which is fine by me because I don't have shit delivered. I'm not part of delivery culture. I never have anything delivered ever. You know, I don't remember ever. I'm not one of these Grubhub guys. You know, I'm not. That's not. I don't. None of those apps are on my phone. I've never done it. I just go over there. I just drive over there. I know this seems like a hardship, something that insurmountable. You know, something that's just insurmountable to drive over there and pick up the pizza and drive back. I mean, that's something that apparently is something that people can't deal with anymore. So. Anyway, I went over there and picked it up. And when I pulled up, I mean, it's just a small little storefront, you know what these Domino's look like. And it's a small little, they got the counter there, and then there's a small little area where you can, you know, where customers can be, you know, waiting on their pizza or whatever. And then there's in the back, there's all the kitchen and all that. So when I pull up, there's like that little waiting area at the front is just full of people. I mean, I was like, what in the hell's going on in there? You know, I've never seen that many people in there ever. So I park and go in, and they're all like, I don't know what nationality. I think they're Indian, possibly Indian would be if I had to guess. I think they were all Indians. They were like adults, men, women, children, all ages. They're all in there. They're all talking at the same time. I don't know. This is very loud, chaotic. And the guy that working in there's one guy working in there, and he's not being very nice. In fact, he's hostile. He's not being nice at all. He's being hostile to them. And I don't know what I walked into, but he's like all pissed off. And these guys are like, "Can we have some?" Because they bought this big. They bought all kinds of stuff. They were stacking pizzas up on the counter. The guy was like, and then there's like all this side stuff like cheesy bread and all that shit. They got a whole bunch of that. They got this gigantic bottle of Sprite. I didn't even know that the Sprite was even sold in such a large bottle. I don't know what it was, a gallon or something. They had like a gallon of Sprite, and the guy's like, "Can we have some cups, please?" And the guy goes over there and like grabs a sleeve of cups, peels off like 10 or 12 of them and just slams it down. Doesn't even say, "Here you go." He's like being really mean to them. He's being extremely rude, And they act like they're oblivious. I don't know what's going on. And he's like, "Can we get some napkins?" And same thing, just slams them down in front of them. I'm like, what is going on here? What in the hell? So I stand there watching this spectacle. They have an enormous amount of food, and then they all go, finally. They grab everything, and they go, and they all enter this minivan parked in the parking lot. Like every single person, there's like a whole bunch. I mean, I'm not kidding. It had to be between 12 and 15 people. Just piled into this minivan with all that food. I guess they're going to sit in there and just go to town on that, all that Dominos. I'm like, what the? So then the guy goes, "Do you have an order?" He's like, just wildly agitated. I said, "Yeah, Jeff ordered it. It's under the name Jeff." He goes over there and grabs my 2 pizzas and sits it down. He goes, "Why do they have to all come in? Why can't they just send 1 or 2 people in? Why does it have to be the whole family? Why?" It's just like, as he's talking, he starts screaming. He goes, "Why? Why does it?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. Take that shit down a notch. You might have a stroke, He goes, "It makes no sense. You send all those people in, the whole family's in here. What, 1 or 2 people. It's all it needs. You know why you'd send everybody in here?" He's like he's like whipped up. I'm like, damn. Well, I can understand the aggravation, I guess. I mean, I don't know if I'd get that worked up about it. I mean, it's annoying. It's true. Why do you have to send everybody? Why do we need a bunch of kids in there? Why does everybody come in? I agree with him, but I don't know. The guy was like wildly, I don't know what was going on there. I saw this car also at Sheetz next door. It was like all pimped out. It was like, it was purple. It was painted purple. Had weird tires. Those little tiny tires on it. It had like shiny chrome wheels, and the thing was, I don't know. It was it was a car I've never seen before. I don't know. It could have been like Russian. I don't know. It was a weird make that I've never. It looked like no car I'd ever seen before, and the steering wheel was on the right side, like they're like in England, And the guy's rolling through there with his one hand on top of the. I thought I turned that phone off. With one hand on top of the wheel, I'm like, what the hell's this? What kind of is this? Some kind of Czechoslovakian car with the all pimped out, pimped up, pimped down? I don't know. And it's like, why? Everything, everywhere you go, it's an adventure. I think everybody's lost their minds. I feel like half the time, or most of the time, I should say, I feel like Oliver Wendell Douglas from Green Acres. The voice of reason, surrounded by insanity, just all around me, just complete insanity. And I'm the one voice of reason, and everybody thinks I'm the crazy one. That's why I feel like I walk around as Oliver Wendell Douglas. I know that's a reference that many of you probably won't get, but you know what I'm saying. But anyway, so that's a couple things I had written down here before we get to the main topic. The main topic, I was talking to my brother, and there was a couple things that we talked about, how stuff that we used to do, and my parents rolled with it, tolerated it, and I wouldn't. I would not. There's no way that I would ever tolerate. There's a couple things, a couple stories. I think one of them I already told once before, but it's been a long time. But this first one, I don't think I've ever talked about this because it's kind of gross. But when we used to go on vacation, my parents always took us on a summer vacation. 90% of the time it was Myrtle Beach, right? They'd take us down to Myrtle Beach, and we'd camp down there at Lakewood Campground. And, it's a nice, gigantic, huge, sprawling campground. This is like Gucci camping, as some people say. It's like a fancy place, and it has like multiple swimming pools, it has like a miniature golf in there. And you're not roughing it in this place. There's like a store in there, grocery store, and, I don't know. It's like there's three giant campgrounds right beside each other, and Lakewood was one of them. The other one was Pirate Land, and I can't remember the other one. Ocean Lakes, I think. So there's three of them, and they're all of them are huge, and all of them are really nice. And my parents always liked Lakewood, so that's where we'd go most of the time. But a few times, they would try to shake things up, and when they'd shake things up, it was usually Daytona Beach, Florida. We went down there a few times, right? And one time we went north. We went on some trip that, when I think back on that, it had to cost a fortune. It was a crazy trip. It was baseball oriented, a lot of baseball. We went to Philadelphia, saw Phillies game at the Vet, Pittsburgh, Three Rivers, saw the Pirates, We went to New York City. We didn't see a baseball game there because they were intimidated by it. So, but we did take a bus trip around the city of New York. I mean, this is like a long trip, like an all-day trip. We were all loaded in a bus. Took us all over. I mean, we saw everything that day. And that was back when New York was, like Times Square was full of porn shops, hookers, that kind of thing. New York was like a grimy mess. I remember we were driving through the Bronx, and I was like, oh my God, Not the Bronx, I'm sorry, the Bowery, driving through the Bowery. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember seeing CBGB, in there, the old the rock club, and we drove up into Harlem and all that, all up in there, and it was crazy. So we did that. That was we didn't go to a baseball game there though, but because I wanted to go to Yankee Stadium. They were like, no, we're not doing that. So and then we went to Boston, went to Fenway, saw the Red Sox and Blue Jays. I think it was the Blue Jays. They were expansion team. I think it was their first year. I think it was the Blue Jays. And then let's see, we went to Cooperstown, New York, to the Baseball Hall of Fame. We went to Niagara Falls. That's where we pissed my dad off. That's one thing. Well, there you go. There's a story right there. I mean, we went to this hotel, and it was on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls. These are stories that where my parents were like very tolerant. This is a story when I wasn't even planning to talk about this, but this is one where they weren't so tolerant, especially my dad. We were just bitching about this hotel that we stayed in because I don't know, it was like kind of rough around the edges. Looked nice from the outside. The rooms were like a mess, like beat up and felt kind of dirty. That's what you encounter, in these touristy places. So me and my brother were like, can we maybe move to another hotel? And my dad like flipped out. Listen here, you a couple of little fancy lads. You know, he starts. I mean, he was like pissed, and he's like this. He's laid back. My mom, she's always agitated. My dad just rolls with it, you know. And when he gets mad, you're like, uh-oh, we really messed up. So he was like really mad that we were complaining about this hotel after all this stuff. Probably like, do you know how much money we're spending on this vacation? And you're bitching about this hotel, you know? And he was like bitching. I mean, he was like giving a shit, calling us fancy lads and whatnot. I remember there was a print of that Blue Boy. There's a famous painting called Blue Boy, and it was hanging over the wall, hanging on the wall above the beds, one of the beds, and it had like one of the eyes was like looked like somebody shot it with a BB gun. I don't know if somebody was like peering through that thing. I don't know. I felt like somebody was on the other side of that thing, looking through his like the hole where his eye used to be. And there was a table in there. It was attached to the wall, but it looked like somebody sat on it. It was all ratcheted down. The bathroom was like, I don't know. But anyway, he was giving us all kinds of shit, and rightly so. He's probably thinking, we spent so much money on this trip, drove so many miles, took you to all these places, and you're complaining because this hotel's not up to your high, lofty standards. So he flew off the handle. So me and my brother went down to the pool. You know, there was too much tension in the room. So we walked down to the pool, and there was a bunch of kids. There was people. Nobody was in the pool. Everybody was up on the side, you know, up on the sidewalk or whatever, looking into the pool. Everybody's looking at something. We walked over there to see what was going on. There's a human turd floating in the pool. And this kid was like, "It's breaking up! It's breaking up!" You know, I'm like, what is happening? Are we gonna make? How's that a human turd? How does such a thing happen? You know. So anyway, but generally we went to Myrtle Beach, right? This first story is when is one of the trips that we went to Daytona Beach, Florida, where you could drive on the beach. That's what I remember most about it. One of the memories is people would drive their cars on the beach, like you had to watch for traffic when you're out there. You know, is it still like that? It seemed like that was their claim to fame. But anyway, so we used to go down there, and on this trip, so this is gross. So just prepare yourself. I don't know. I was probably like 11, maybe like I was maybe 11. My brother's 10 or something like that. Somewhere in that neighborhood would be my guess. I'm not 100% sure. But so we were on this trip, and every day we would go to this place called. It was a cafe. I think it was like Two Sisters Cafe, or maybe it was Three Sisters. I don't know how many sisters it was. Feels like it was Two Sisters Cafe, and I'm not 100% sure about that. It's either 2 or 3, and it was just like a diner type place where you get breakfast. We went there for breakfast every day, and I was ordering every day. I would order this, eggs, hash browns, like scrambled eggs, hash browns, and a side of country ham. Right, like that's what I would get. And I don't know what was going on with me. This is disgusting. But there was something going on with the Flora and the Fauna. You know, something inside my gut was going on. It was like something, like all the stars aligned. I don't know. And I was putting off I was farting a lot, right? Okay. And it was a pungent. I was very, very gassy. And it was just a breathtakingly pungent. I don't know. Something was going on. It was like something. It was one of the most amazing things. I mean, it was unbelievable. The funk, the stench. To paraphrase my old friend Vincent, it could take the varnish off a door, right? So I don't know what was going on. It was just something. Something was happening at that point. I was 11, and there was the Flora and the Fauna. There's some kind of dark black magic going on inside my gut. So and my dad. So I started just releasing them out. Whenever I felt the urge, and it would just. I mean, everybody would scream and protest because it was so. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, it was an awful thing. And I can remember, it just kept going day after day. And my dad was convinced it was that country ham. He goes, I don't want you ordering that country ham anymore. I don't know what the hell's going on. I've never experienced anything like this. This is like something, this is like a once in a lifetime thing. It was unbelievable. I can remember, we're in the car somewhere. And we were driving. Nobody was saying anything. I remember this. I can remember exactly where I was sitting. I can remember where everybody else was sitting. And we were just driving along. Nobody was saying anything. I think the radio was on. And I released, I silently released, a little present for everybody. And that period where you release it and you're anticipating the reaction. Oh my God, that is electric. There's electricity in the air. Like you're just like, oh my God, this is going to be great. And so I released this. Oh my God, terrible. And I don't know, maybe it took like 3 seconds, 3 seconds, and everybody is like, "Oh my God!" And everybody was like rolling the windows down, sticking their heads out. I mean, it was like, and they didn't even. If that shit happened with one of my kids, if one of my kids kept doing that over and over again with that level of pungency, or even if it wasn't that level of pungency, I'd be like, I'm going to put you on. If you do that again, you need to put a cork in it, because if you do that again, I'm going to put you on a Greyhound, and you can fart up a bus. You can fart up the bus. You're not going to be farting up this car anymore. That's what I would say. I mean, I would get mad about it. And they were just like kind of rolling with it. How could you roll with that? It's like unbelievable. I can't believe the patience that my parents had, but it was unbelievable. This has become family folklore. Everybody's like, remember that country ham? Oh my God, the country ham trip. That's what it's come to be known as. I mean, the whole trip is now known as the country ham trip. Everybody knows what you bring up country ham in my family, and everybody knows exactly what you're talking about. I mean, it is unbelievable. I wanted to get my brother on here and talk about it, but he goes, I don't want to do that. I don't know why, but he wasn't interested. But anyway, that was something else. And another story, which I've told before, which is another thing that they tolerated for a long time until they finally put their foot down, is there was this in Dunbar. There was this toy store called House of Toys. It's called the House of Toys, and they had a little rack that had like tricks and gags and stuff, magic tricks and shit like that. Had like those Chinese what do you call those things? Those finger traps, those Chinese finger traps or something. They have like Mexican jumping beans. They have like a ice cube with a fly in it, like a fake ice cube with a fly in it. They'd have like gum that would turn your lips black or whatever the hell. This kind of stuff. Gags and stuff. So they had cigarette loads. And we bought some of those things. And my parents, this is in the 70s, both my parents used to smoke. They haven't smoked in decades, but they used to smoke. And we used to load up their cigarettes. Those things would blow up, and some of them are like powerful. I think some of them were more powerful than others. And and they just laugh it off. If somebody did that shit to me, I'd be like, what the? Don't ever, don't ever do that again. I'm not kidding. I mean, I wouldn't put it in. It would happen one time, possibly 2 times. I might be lenient enough to allow, but after the second time, I'd say, don't do it again. It's not funny. You're pissing me off. I would put an end to that. But they rolled with it, just like that country ham, that toxic. I mean, that thing is like just a toxic cloud that I kept releasing into the atmosphere over and over. My entire the digestive system. I don't know what's going on there. They rolled with that too. So anyway, they would light up a cigarette thing occasionally. Every once in a while, one of them would just explode, right? And this is usually around the house, And they get, I don't know, it felt like they were a little annoyed, but they would, they didn't say anything about it. And then, so one day we went out to dinner. We were at this restaurant called Shoney's, which they still have them, but they're like a Denny's type, just like a Bob's Big Boy or something, something along those lines. Hamburgers and shit like that. And we're in there, place is packed, It was in the 70s when people just, they'd eat dinner. And then they just light up a cigarette and just like butt the thing out, and the remnants of their baked potato, the husk of the baked potato, just like everybody's just like smoking and blowing big old giant plumes of smoke in there. And maybe that's why they're used to that. They're used to like just smelling stuff and big clouds of nastiness. I was just a different version of it. Anyway, so we were in there, and we had dinner. They both fired up their cigs after dinner, and my mom's cigarette just like exploded. It sounded like a firecracker going on. And she was sitting there with this thing. It was like something off of cartoons. The thing was like all curled, at the end of it. The thing was like, it blew the whole end of the cigarette off, and what was left was curled back, and there was tobacco all over the table. The place just went instantly quiet, just like everybody's talking, and then that thing went off, and everybody just like stopped talking at the same time, looked straight at my mom. She's sitting there with this cigarette, in her mouth, and the thing's all curled back like on like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. And that was a bridge too far, right? And my dad was like, "That's enough." Both of them were like, "It's not funny anymore." It took them way longer than it would have taken me. Said, that better not happen anymore. That's not funny. Like they were like humiliated, And so we're just sitting there, just enduring this, just kind of looking down at our plates, right? She pinches off the damaged part of the cigarette, lights it up again, kapow! right after they gave us a whole raft of shit. Just like seconds later, it went off again. Everybody's looking at them again. There's like all this like paper and tobacco all over the table. Oh my God! I mean that shit. That's another one that always gets brought up all the time in family conversations. Remember that time you guys double loaded that cigarette? What we used to do is we'd take a cigarette load and stick it in there, take a toothpick and pack it about halfway back in the cigarette, and then we'd put another one out on the tip, right? So when they lit it, it would go off, and then they'd pinch off the end of it where it was damaged, and then they'd light it up again, and it would blow up again. And they allowed us to do this like for a long time until finally, when you're out in public, they were pissed about that. So anyway, those are two things I've never smoked. I mean, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. But if something along those lines ever happened, I'd be like putting an end to that, right? I'd be like, no, this ends today, And I'd have some kind of menacing. I'd have a menacing conversation with everyone, put an end to it. They rolled with stuff. I don't know. I mean, They're patient, I can tell you that much. I have 2 calls I'm going to get to right now, and this first one is from our old pal Jill, and here it is.
Hi, Jeff. This is Jill from Pennsylvania. Just concerned about you. Some of your fans are wondering, where have you been for 2 weeks? We miss you and hope you're doing something fun and there's nothing wrong or you're not going through a crisis. If you are, I'm sure we'll hear about it on a future show. Just showing concern, that's all. I hope everything is fine with you. And have you been following the Red Hot Phillies? They won in the 11th inning last night, 3-2 against the Atlanta Braves. Go Phillies. Sorry about your Reds this year, though. Take care.
Yeah, I apologize. You said I hope there's no crisis. I wouldn't call it crisis, but there's something going on I'm dealing with. But hopefully everything's good now. I don't know. I don't. It's not. It's something I don't really feel comfortable talking about. But it's nothing for you guys to worry about. But sometimes family stuff gets in the way of doing this podcast, and I try to stay on track. It's just there's so much going on all the time, and there's also there's stuff going on here at the House of K. And then there's stuff goes on at work all the time. There's always something going on there that takes up, makes me have to change my schedule, and it messes me up, and all this stuff. So it's a combination of things, but mostly it's a family situation with one of the kids. But don't really want to talk about it. But I appreciate you. I appreciate your concern, Jill. I appreciate that you noticed that I'm not, I'm not there, so that's nice, and I appreciate that. And yeah, you're rubbing it in on the Phillies. No, the Reds. The Phillies are having a great year, one of the best years they've had in a long time. The Reds are decimated by injury. All their pitchers are down. Like all the starting rotation is gone. They traded away one guy, and the rest of them are on the injured list. So, and then they got other position players on the injured list. I don't know. Previously, the disabled list. Can't say disabled for some reason. Now you have to say injured. But anyway, yeah, the Reds had a rough season. There's only 20 games left. That sucks. 20, regular season games. But yeah, good for the Phillies. If you're a Phillies fan, you're having a good time this year. If you're a Reds fan, I feel like the Reds are a better team than their record would indicate. But wait till next year, as I always say. Thanks for calling, Jill. I appreciate that. And this next call is from our old pal Jason. Here you go.
Hey, Jeff. It's Jason Yetma in the People's Democratic Republic of Austin, Texas. I had a shit day, and I wanted to tell you about it. Woke up this morning pushing 50. Not a lot to live for. I got to the office and found out that someone was bringing cinnamon rolls from Panera Bread, and all the giggling dingbats in the office were thrilled shitless. So that should have told me something. But they brought in the cinnamon rolls in a giant box. I mean, it was tall, like it could have been holding a deep freeze or maybe like a child's coffin. It was just an enormous box. And everyone's excited. I'm excited because cinnamon rolls, finally, a reason for me to continue living. But when we opened the coffin, we discovered that the cinnamon rolls were all jazzed up, like crazy. So for example, one cinnamon roll would have, a fucking bouquet of corn dogs sticking out of it. Another one, maybe a couple of handfuls of pork rinds mashed into the top. Another one, I think there was a coffee mug full of sausage gravy sitting on top of it. And it's just unnecessary. And I'm pretty mad at Panera Bread right now for ruining my reason to live. And, of course, I hate the giggling dingbat. And I don't know. I'm at war with Panera Bread right now just for this. And I will go to my grave fighting those sons of bitches. Hope you guys are having a good week. Love y'all. Bye.
Man, you a bouquet of what did you say it was? A bouquet of corn dogs. That was how one of them was decorated. This is from Panera. Oh boy, yeah. You don't need to. A cinnamon roll is a beautiful thing. You don't need to add shit to that. You don't need to fancy that up. That's ridiculous. No way. He said the things the size of a child. The box was the size of a child's coffin. That is fantastic. I don't know. I don't like that either. There's that place, Crumble. I don't know. There's Duck Donut. You ever been to Duck Donuts? It's like, what's wrong with just a donut? It doesn't need to be like 5 pounds with all kinds of shit stacked on top of it. God, it's like people love that place, Duck. You know, it's just it's like over the top. It's a donut. It's a donut that's done over. It's gone over the top. You know. So anyway, I'm sorry you had first you thought you had something that give you the will to live, and then you find out that even the coffin full of cinnamon rolls, even that has been destroyed by humanity. I'm sorry to hear that. But you said you're pushing 50, you know. Huh. Just wait. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but Jason, as always, a great call. I appreciate it. Call back, please. And I always enjoy your reports. And good luck with everything. And thanks, Jill. Thank you for calling. Thanks for the concern. I do appreciate it. Thank you, guys. And if you want to call, like Jill and Jason did, you can do it. 570-290-8151 is the number. It's a voicemail, so you can just call, leave your message, and it will almost certainly be used in a future episode. And if you're a little shy about it, don't worry about it. If you call and you don't like the way it went, just let me know. I won't use it. I mean, I'm not trying to, make anybody embarrassed or anything. But if you do want to give me a call and tell me a story or ask me a question, whatever, you can do it. 570-290-8151. Round the clock. Also, surfreportpod.com is the web home of the podcast. Expanded show notes, pictures, links, etc., etc. I need to get that thing updated. That was another thing that I got behind on. But I'll get it updated. So surfreportpod.com is the home of the podcast on the internet. And if you want 2 episodes a week instead of a measly one, you can do that over at patreon.com. It's Patreon, patreon.com/Jeff K. Sign up for a $4 or more monthly donation. It's just $4. Put it on a credit card. You won't even notice it, and you'll get an extra episode. Every time I publish one on the main network, a few days later, you get an extra episode. The standalone, full-length episode for patrons only. Only patrons. Only the VIPs. Only the Delta Force of podcast listeners can hear these bonus episodes. There's a whole bunch of them. I mean, there's like 200 of them, right? Because I've done 400 episodes. So 200 of them are Patreon episodes, 200 plus. So if you want access to that rich vein of insanity and ridiculousness, you can do it today. Patreon.com/Jeff K. And we're at the end of this thing. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time, which will be over on the Patreon side, hope you guys have yourselves a fine, fine day. I'll see you. Bye. Why does it have to be the whole family? Why?